Agriculture plays a vital role in any economy. In addition to providing reliable food sources, whether it is through fruit cultivation, poultry, beekeeping, or livestock, the sector provides employment opportunities and foreign exchange. On this episode of Jamaica Magazine, we review the efforts to ensure the security of the sector through anti-predatory larceny measures and steps farmers can use to safeguard their produce in Farm Against the Storm. Later, we explore gastronomical delights in Pepper Pot, the flavors of Jamaica. I'm Arroyo Eubanks. Let's start digging through the pages of the magazine. Stay tuned for all this and more.
Good day, I'm Andrea Chisholm and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, June 4. The National Water Commission is to spend $2 billion to upgrade facilities under the Kingston Metropolitan Area KMA Water Supply Improvement Program. The project is being funded by the Inter-American Development Bank.
26 water supply facilities in the corporate area that are inefficient and are unable to meet growing demand will be rehabilitated and improved.
The Portfolio Minister Robert Pickersgill was speaking in Parliament on Tuesday during his sectoral presentation. He also announced that a number of catchment tanks would be repaired under the Rainwater Harvesting and Catchment Tank Rehabilitation Program.
An amount of $45 million has been budgeted to carry out rehabilitation and repairs to catchment tanks. A total of 30 tanks are slated to be rehabilitated during this financial year.
The parishes of Clarendon, Westmoreland, Manchester, St. Anne and St. Elizabeth will benefit from this project. And climate change projects across the island will be bolstered with a $27.5 million allocation to the Climate Change Division from the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center. It's part of an agreement with the Caribbean Agency to develop a climate change adaptation strategy and action plan by the end of this financial year.
The agreement will facilitate, among other things, the acquisition of 2 automatic weather stations to enhance the climate data collection capacity of the meteorological services here in Jamaica.
The National Works Agency NAA is moving to further prepare the country for the hurricane season with a $50 million project to clean drains. $20 million will be spent in southeastern parishes like St. Catherine and Kingston, and $10 million each will be allocated to parishes in the south, northeast and west. Speaking at the launch of Disaster Preparedness Month, NAA Communications Manager Stephen Shaw said drain cleaning activities would start by the end of the week.
We intend to have these activities wrapped up within a month of them starting. So we should be finished with the $50 million program by the end of June.
In the meantime, Local Government and Community Development Minister Noel Arscott added that parish councils across the island have so far spent $150 million on drain cleaning.
We're also planning to have some funds available to NSWMA to deal with the critical areas where we know that plastic bottles, which is a scourge upon the land, and plastic bags, which is really a big problem that the country faces, and we have to collectively find a solution to this problem. We'll be able to at least remove some of those from our waterways.
Stakeholders in the betting and gaming industry are being urged to ensure they comply with the Proceeds of Crime Act POCA, especially in light of recent changes to the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act. Those changes expand the operations of the sector and improve its regulatory framework. They follow amendments to POCA last year, which aim to clamp down on money laundering and illegal betting and gaming practices.
The requirement now is for you to become compliant through training and orientation and developing your in-house POCA compliance manual. Rest assured, ladies and gentlemen, that you will be in safe hands with the legal minds at the BGLC and the Casino Commission, who will guide you through the process.
The minister was speaking at the inaugural Gaming Summit hosted by the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Commission (BGLC) last Thursday, where he pointed to the growth of the multi-billion-dollar local industry. In the 2011-2012 financial year, government collected $2.9 billion in revenue and taxes from the sector and $4.5 billion in the 2013-2014 fiscal year.
This is not the kind of revenue intake in the economy that any administration can ignore. At the same time, the scope for expansion, a stronger economy, and the creation of more jobs for our people are what we are interested in.
In the meantime, Minister Daly said government was reviewing the platform for internet gaming as well as 3 proposals for Vegas-style casinos. And even as the government moves to expand operations of the betting, gaming and lottery sector, it is also protecting participants by promoting responsible gaming practices. Minister Daly says Rise Life Management will play a lead role in that area, but stakeholders also have a moral obligation to protect the vulnerable.
The voluntary self-exclusion program currently upheld by a few gaming lounges must be expanded into all other gaming establishments for the support of those who have gambling addiction and feel unable to control their problems.
He added that regulators should only license those entities that meet the fit and proper criteria, and those in breach should be brought to book. And that's it for GIS News today. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Thank you for watching.
Prevent overfishing. Give our marine resources room to replenish. Protect valuable marine species from extinction. Fish sanctuaries have been created to do just that. These designated protected areas for fish and other marine life help to breed, grow, and maintain a healthy population. No one is allowed in a fish sanctuary. It is illegal. Offenders will be arrested and their fishing equipment and catch confiscated. Allowing our marine and seafood population to grow means more catch later and food security for all.
The government's responsibility includes ensuring that citizens have access to safe food supplies and that sufficient quantities of food are consistently available. To achieve this objective, the government is partnering with the nation's farmers in assisting with the security of their produce under strategic priority number 3, security and justice.
Security and justice, 2 critical portfolios in the government's arsenal of measures to achieve national safety. This includes measures for the protection of goods and services. The Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries is pursuing initiatives to support this and stamp out predial larceny. The theft of farm produce and livestock has been robbing the agricultural sector of some $5 billion per year, and government is getting tougher on the perpetrators. Recently, the Agriculture Minister, Roger Clark, announced a 4-pronged strategy to deter or catch the culprits. These include a national animal identification and traceability system, the establishment of dedicated predial larceny units within the Agriculture Ministry and the Jamaica Constabulary Force, and the strengthening of key pieces of legislation. These measures resulted from a stakeholder strategy workshop, which included the Ministries of National Security and Justice.
We have identified and agreed on a comprehensive slew of amendments to the Agricultural Produce Act and the Predial Larceny Prevention Act to directly place penalties for predial larceny under this principal legislation, to simplify the procedures for licensing all actors along the food chain, as well as to impose stiffer fines.
When they come into full effect, the amendments will see farmers operating according to certain policy guidelines. These guidelines will create a clear distinction between farmers and those bent on stealing, especially under the disguise of being a farmer or buyer. Farmers will be required to register with the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA, and those trading in produce will need to use receipt books to validate the amount of goods with which they're traveling.
So once you are with agricultural produce, you have to prove where you get it from. And that is what is needed. Zero tolerance throughout the entire system.
Drafting instructions for the amendments are being finalized and will then be presented to Cabinet for approval. With regards to livestock, a tagging system is being introduced to trace animals from farms to slaughterhouses. Starting with cattle, the plan is to tag them with a chip that will transmit valuable information about the animal to a national database and provide accessible data if stolen. This will be rolled out under the National Identification and Traceability System, which begins in the July quarter of this year.
Under this program, every single head of cattle will be tagged and virtually issued with a passport. The passport will contain critical information about the animal. and will be mandatory for movement of the animal.
It has all the details, the owner of the farm, the original owner of the farm, where it was born, and then it will tell you all the subsequent owners.
The tagging will be carried out by the Ministry's Veterinary Division, and information gathered from the process will be used to identify the animal and track its movement. It is from this database that police officers will be able to determine if persons found with animals in their possession are the legal owners.
Animals cannot move from one point to the next without three things: ear tags, one in each ear, passport, and they must have notified the Veterinary Services AIT unit that they're intending to move that cow. If all those things are not in sync, then we have a problem.
It will also be a requirement for all venues or establishments that house bovine animals to be registered to facilitate the movement of the animals.
Stakeholders that are going to be involved include public health inspectors, owners of abattoirs and slaughterhouses, butchers, markets, showground, the police, very important, because when they stop a truck, they need to look for those three things. They can verify the ear tags right away and the passport just by stopping that vehicle.
These measures are in place to protect the livelihood and economic stability of farmers, maintain a secure business environment within the agricultural sector, and ensure a safe operation within the food chain.
If the consumer can convince that regardless of where they buy a piece of meat in Jamaica, that beef has been subjected to a traceability system by the competent authority from farm to slaughter, they know that they can be confident that they have a safe product.
That is why the Ministry of Agriculture has set aside $7 million from its budget to establish a dedicated predial larceny unit to assist with this level of support. The Jamaica Constabulary Force is doing the same.
A key responsibility of the predial larceny coordinator in this ministry will be to work closely with the proposed operational unit in the Jamaica Constabulary Force, as well as our Veterinary Services Division, the Ministry of Health, and the Trade Board to coordinate and accelerate compliance efforts with special emphasis on end users.
And so a zero-tolerance approach will be coordinated to clamp down on persons or places that buy and sell stolen meat and produce.
The overriding thing is for the police to catch those guys. How can somebody move with 35 heads of cattle one night undetected?
To further assist the police and its support services, the Agriculture Ministry partnered with the Mona School of Business and Management to create two apps. Harvest API app collates and manages RADA's farmer registration database, and the Clip app provides the police with instant mobile access to that database via cellular phones.
This will make a difference in our capacity to combat predial larceny.
There's a long-distance relay that's still on. Many have taken it this far, each leg as important as the next, each challenge faced with determination. Now it's your turn to take the baton. People living with HIV and AIDS and those who are vulnerable need your commitment. It stands in the way of a better quality of life for all of us and our self-respect as a region. It stands in the way of victory in the fight to stop the spread of HIV. Reject stigma and discrimination. Get us to zero.
In addition to the threat from predial larceny, the agricultural sector also incurs huge losses annually as a result of natural disasters. In the upcoming feature, we explore how farmers can protect themselves in Farm Against the Storm.
Disasters do happen and losses can be horrendous. The agricultural sector is no exception. Quite often, food production is hit hard by the onslaught of hurricanes, flooding, landslides, and even droughts. Proper planning and the right system is your best defense against threats posed by natural disasters. One of those systems, greenhouse farming. You must follow some important procedures to safeguard the value of your pricey investment against wind damage. Agricultural Development Officer Webster McPherson tells us what needs to be done.
What can greenhouse farmers do to reduce the impact?
As soon as it is certain that the hurricane will hit or come close to the island, we advise that they remove all their mature fruits from their trees first. This is to prevent the fruits from absorbing excess moisture, which will cause them to crack and to make them unmarketable.
Then, remove the plastic and the mesh cladding from the houses. Farmers, you also lay your plants flat. Cover them with mesh, weigh them down so your crops don't get blown away by the wind.
Or those farmers who can afford it, where the plants are grown in grow bags or in pots, plants can actually be literally taken out of the greenhouse to a secure storage, like maybe a 40-foot container or a flat concrete roof building. And as soon as the hurricane passes, the plants are taken out of storage, back into the house, be connected back to the trellising system, be connected back to the irrigation system. They replace the cladding, replace the plastic, and the farmers are back in business.
Sounds pretty easy going, with a sure sense of security. Greenhouses, built with a locking profile device, makes for easy removal and reassembly of the plastic and mesh.
One of the advantages of that is that while the open field would be devastated, the greenhouse farmers will be back in business in a very short time.
Just in case crops suffer damage, one suggestion is that farmers should have seedlings growing during the hurricane season. They'll be able to use these seedlings for replanting quickly after the hurricane season has passed.
Usually, when the open field is devastated, you tend to have a scarcity. And the greenhouse farmers will be the only persons who have fruits if they take the necessary steps to mitigate against the damaging effects of the hurricane. And so they'll benefit from high prices. Dismantling a greenhouse like this with a crew of 6 to 10 persons could take 2 hours. Putting it back will take a little longer, take you a day. This house doesn't have any welded joints, right? All the joints are connected with nuts and bolts and brackets. Welding in a greenhouse structure is a point of weakness, right? And there's a saying in greenhouse technology that your house is as strong as your weakest welded joint, because all you want to have is one joint snapping and the entire thing come down in domino effect.
Crops like your banana are susceptible to wind damage. Some farmers erect wind barriers by planting selected trees on the perimeter of their farm plots to reduce the effects. These prevent direct impact of heavy winds and storms. Proper pruning techniques will help prevent the loss of fruit trees like mango and trees of similar structural growth by allowing them to withstand strong winds. This is where we have to leave you for now. But remember, disasters do happen. You don't have to lose. Be prepared. Until next time, take care.
Agriculture as a multifaceted sector is integral to nation building. According to the Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries, the Honorable Roger Clark, in his recent sectoral budget presentation, over 220,000 persons were employed in the sector in the 2013-2014 financial year. As a primary income source, agriculture contributed a total of 6.7% over the same period to the gross domestic product. Also, the growth of the agricultural sector contributes to marketable surplus, which simply means that farmers are able to produce agricultural goods for their own needs and the needs of their families and still supply adequate goods for people like you and me, as well as other industries that are unable to produce these agricultural goods. The sector also builds rural communities, and as a result of the transportation of produce from farm to market, road networks are developed to facilitate internal trade. So you see, agriculture has helped to build this nation and improve our standard of living by increasing our productivity. Let's continue to support the sector by eating Jamaican.
Finger-licking jerk chicken, Helcher fish and bami, will run down yam and banana, roast breadfruit, sweet potato pudding. Jamaica food sweet. So let's make a pledge to use more local produce and less foreign goods. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow.
Okay, you have just purchased produce from a local farmer. Now it's time to turn that produce into a delectable feast. How about one of the dishes from our culinary heritage?
It's a melting pot of cultures, cooking techniques, ingredients, flavors and spices from all who've had a hand in the making of the nation. Taino, Spanish, British, African, Chinese, Indian and others, shaping a national culinary palette that's more than 50 years in the making. Jamaica's cuisine has come a far way. The island now boasts dozens of fast food chains, oriental restaurants, all-natural eateries and indigenous food shops that serve a buffet of dishes, many of which were not celebrated fair just 50 years ago when Jamaica was a newly independent nation. Credit must go to government bodies like the Jamaica Cultural Development Commission, which has been promoting the consumption of authentic Jamaican foods since its culinary competition in hotels was introduced in 1965.
When we roast the yam, when we roast the yam.
Do you like roast yam? You're not alone. Many Jamaicans have acquired a taste for this particular dish, and they didn't have to look far for its creation. Roasting is a centuries-old cooking style that Jamaicans owe to the Taino peoples that once occupied this land. Just 50 years ago, it was still a time-consuming, more labor-intensive practice of roasting ground provisions and meats in the earth.
They even roast the fish in the earth, and then they scrape it off.
Now, Jamaicans from all walks of life are roasting, over grills, on meat sheets, in less time, but with as much flavor as their ancestors. Since the arrival of Christopher Columbus in the 15th century, Spanish flavors have been spicing up Jamaican pots on a regular basis. One particular cooking style, and its most popular creation, has made a big impression.
We in Spain, we fry a lot. There is definitely the one dish that has a clear connection with Spain, which is the escovitch.
Empanada to the Spanish, patty to Jamaicans. Since the late 1970s to early 1980s, this meat-filled dough dish has been another favorite.
The concept is very much the same. The difference would be, and there is again a mixture of other cultures. In this regard, I guess the British and the Indians, the filling.
As the local cattle industry beefed up its output in the 1960s, Jamaicans wholeheartedly reclaimed one of their favorite pre-independence imports. Now on a Saturday, there is hardly a household that is not cooking either the popular beef soup or one of its other variations. The British like to boil, and it's from them that we've adopted this cooking method to serve up a wide array of dishes that are uniquely Jamaican. Hot as it is, Jamaicans love their teas, and while traditional English flavors were the popular choices for about the first 2 decades of independence, industrious Jamaicans have more recently been bagging indigenous and African-inspired flavors. It could have been the love for teas by the English that prompted then-Governor Sir Nicholas Laws to plant coffee seedlings in the island back in the 1700s. From the first plant in Temple Hall, St. Andrew, the Blue Mountain Coffee is now a global brand. With about 90% of the Jamaican population claiming African heritage, it's easy to see why the continent gets credit for most of what we eat. But there was a time when claiming that particular heritage was not for popular consumption.
You wouldn't find bami being sold in the supermarket in the 60s or late 70s.
Green bananas were a no-no if you're sort of, you know, it was a very peasant thing and you couldn't say that you're eating green bananas.
No more. Today, Jamaicans of all ethnicities delight in their prickled or corn meats, mackerel rundown, and yes, the many faces of bami and banana, green, ripe, boiled, fried, however you want it. What would the Jamaican diet look like without the maroons?
They would catch the wild hog. They would prepare that wild hog, and they would dig a hole, and they put the fire in the earth, in the hole, and they would set up a wooden grill over that hole and anchor these sticks with stones and so on. And then they would have the pig on that pimento, green pimento wood that is anchored over that hole. And that was how they would roast the pig. After they season it, of course, with bird pepper and pepper elder.
And from the hole emerged the most popular maroon gift to the dinner plate, jerk.
In the 1980s, you could only get jerk pork in Portland. Only at the Port Antonio market on a Saturday when the maroons used to go there to sell it. And then afterwards, I think one of the maroons was started the stand at Boston.
Giving us the widely popular Boston jerk pork and its many challengers from all across the island.
The truth is, over the last 50 years, we have had a major integration of Indian culinary arts into Jamaican art.
The most popular integration is not a specific dish, it's a spice. While Jamaicans tend to rub it on the meat and the Indians are more likely to put it in hot oil, everyone agrees curry is a much appreciated import from the Asian continent.
You know, in Jamaica, we are very adventurous. We like to go beyond what we are accustomed to. So we move from curry goat to curry chicken, and all sorts of things are being curried too.
The Jamaicans have come to embrace the Chinese cuisine because it's good.
But you know, Jamaicans, sometimes we cook the Chinese thing at home with the soya sauce, but we have to throw a little jerk seasoning in it and what have you, because it's a combination of flavors.
When Rasta say ital food and no deaders and no flesh and face and bone, and people used to look at it with scorn and say breeze go blow you away, and you know, up to now no breeze no blow away. You see, if you have the proper combination of seasoning in your pot and the proper timing, you don't need to use the salt and the other little artificial thing.
Many Jamaicans still cook with salt, and meats remain a constant, but the healthy lifestyle pushed decades ago by the Rastafarian community is now a well-accepted and celebrated way to live. No Jamaican cookbook could be complete without this chapter. Whether it stems from a fruit or it's brewed in a lab, Jamaicans love to imbibe.
So ginger beer, to lemonade, and then we have sorrel. And we have been making a lot of drinks with our fruits, like soursop punch, and we make breadfruit punch and sorrel, and at Christmas time there's egg punch.
Now that is the perfect cap on a multi-ethnic menu, fit for the most airy people in the world.
Visit our Facebook page or send us a tweet about your favorite Jamaican dish. Share the recipe of how you have personalized that dish. For more information, visit our website and YouTube channel. I'm Arroyo Eubanks. Remember, one cannot think well, love well, sleep well if one has not dined well. So says Virginia Woolf. Enjoy the rest of your day.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.